Halo Infinite's December mid-season update, it's tomorrow. It's almost here. We just got the trailer, kind of a bit of a teaser, and I guess exactly what we expected, right? Firefight is the centerpiece. I think with the GTA kind of advertising they did, similar to GTA 6, I think people got their hopes up pretty high on like what to expect, but it is mostly Firefight. This video is going to focus on Firefight today as well. If that trailer wasn't enough for you, there is an extensive article on Firefight, everything this mode is bringing, how it's going to work, and then the stuff that we get in the custom game options and forge, etc. So I'm going to cover all of that today because there's a lot of detail here. And I think I'm going to make a second video as well, talking about the other quality of life improvements coming with this update also. It's not just Firefight. We've got changes to Forge, changes to Rank, changes to the custom game browser, and some big quality of life improvements, even including networking, that I'm going to talk about, not in this video, in a separate video, because there's literally that much to discuss. Also, just want to apologize in advance if I sound sort of sick or off. I've been very sick this past weekend. It's just that time of year, so stay warm, guys. Take care of yourselves. You do not want what I had this past weekend. I'm bundled up, right? I got my SSG hoodie. We're sitting on the bottom of the screen today, too, just so we can kind of run through this and read this together. Now, there is a lot to cover in this article. It's honestly a very interesting read if you do want to take the time to read it. I'm not going to read through everything. I want to try to be efficient for you guys and just giving you the right information here. There's a brief history section if you're curious about the history of Firefight, kind of where I guess the idea began back in CE, and then you've got, Halo Reach and Halo ODST, of course, is where it started. Halo 5's iteration of Firefight, but Firefight King of the Hill, Infinite's version of Firefight, very similar to what we remember. So it says, our take on Firefight in many ways close to the previous iterations of Firefight you remember. You and 3 other Spartans, so it's still just 4 players, apparently, in this Firefight. Only 4 players will face waves of banished foes until you prevail or die trying. The experience is entirely PvE, so there are no other human players to sweat against, just you, your fire team, and Halo Infinite's awesome cast of campaign enemies. I like the fact that they're really kind of hitting down on this idea of casual kind of party, game play, which Halo Infinite's been, it's been kind of sweaty is what we've been saying in the public. We want more relaxed, casual modes. You can tell that they're aiming for that with this. When the game starts, a hill will spawn, and waves of progressively harder banished enemies will try to capture that hill. Your job is to take the hill from them and hold it until you capture it. A boss wave filled with tougher than usual enemies and spearheaded by a named high-value target or boss spawns once you've reached a certain amount of hill progress. You score a point when you both finish capturing the hill and defeat the boss wave. Then, just like other Firefight iterations, you'll get a brief respite to resupply your weapons and equipment, which only respawns between hills. After that downtime, the hill will begin spawning in a new location, and then the cycle repeats. The matchmaking modes will have exactly 5 hills. I assume it's the same rotation, like King of the Hill in competitive, of these hills each time. So every time you play a specific map, maybe you'll memorize the rotation, if that even matters, to memorize the rotation of the hills, because it'll let you know where that hill is setting up in advance, and you just kind of go there. But it says that you need to capture at least 3 of them throughout the round to get a win. The timer in the mode is technically unlimited, but games tend to run between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how well your team is playing. We totally expect the speedrun-oriented folks to be competing for the lowest time on each map. So you get points by capturing each hill and defeating its boss wave. It takes 5 points to win. This is kind of confusing. It says 5 points to win, but they said you needed 3 hills to capture to win. So what they iterate here is it says, well, the enemy team can capture a hill just like you can. So if you can't hold the waves off, you lose that point to the other team. So I guess you need to capture a minimum of 3 out of 5 to win the game. But if you capture all 5, it always plays 2 5 hills. And if you capture all 5, you get bonus XP for the extra 2 hills if you get all 5. In past Firefight modes, players had limited respawns. How do respawns work in Firefight King of the Hill? So they talked about how there was usually a life pool in past Firefight modes, and that this was a frustration in matchmaking games because they felt like some players would waste some of those lives in the pool. So now it doesn't work like that. It's a elimination mechanic instead. When a teammate is killed, they go down where they fell, and they're given a lengthy respawn timer. The duration depends on the difficulty you are playing. And if all Spartans go down simultaneously, you instantly lose the game. So I guess what they're saying is, like, if you're on Hill 1 and you all die at the start of the game, then it's just over in a couple minutes, I guess. Like, you really don't want to. Or do you just lose the one hill, and then you move on to hill number 2, and you still get a chance? Like, I don't know. It sounds like you just lose the game, and you just go back to search. Your teammates can bring you back to the battlefield immediately by reviving you. I guess if they have that repair field equipment, just like in attrition, or I guess can they stand over you and revive you just to like, oh, so if it's like attrition, then I guess they can just stand over you and hold the button. But as mentioned above, the Banished will be making hill progress the whole time. So you're going to need to balance revives against the enemy capture progress. Kind of a cool dynamic, right? Like, do you go for the extra hill time? Do you help a teammate out? You know, they say, I guess it depends on how greedy or heroic you feel. We hope utilizing revives will reduce frustration from players that want a solo queue, but will keep the co-op sense of shared fate we loved in both Surviving Firefight and Warzone Firefight. Now, they also have custom game options, and I love this, and they talk about this throughout the article. For every other little aspect, that we used to have in previous Firefight iterations, there is a custom game option available so you can recreate it in any way you like. Because what they've talked about a lot in this article and previous ones is just about kind of, Season 5 is all about letting people play Halo the way that they want to play. So there's an extensive list, and we'll look at it, of just custom game options to make tailor this any way that you want as far as Firefight goes. But if you want the life pool, you can get the life pool for the endless runs like in ODST and Reach. They have a custom game option that will let you replenish the shared life pool if the Spartans win a point. So every round that life pool can reset. You got tons of options here. Obviously, having this dynamic of having to like capture a hill is a new thing. Typically in Firefight, you're fighting the waves in whatever way that you want. And they talk about this a bit and kind of the idea behind it. And I like it. They say how, players who ran and hid when a tough wave of enemies appeared, they couldn't stay hidden and pick shots on enemies until they had thinned out their ranks. Now there's this like double dilemma of you can't just, completely play passively and just pick off players over time. You need to be fighting for a hill, at the same time. And on top of the fact that the enemies they're scripted to go to the hill and capture the hill, not just, fight you at the hill. They're trying to capture the hill. Suddenly there's this tension when the enemy pushed your fire team off the hill. The bar started ticking up. The drum sound played with each tick, letting you know the Banished were inching closer to victory. So you're really fighting against them on like multiple levels here, which is pretty cool. And of course, like I said about those custom game options, you don't have to play it this way. You can tailor it, in the way that you want if you're playing custom games. But within the matchmaking environment, I think it's pretty cool that we have these different dynamics and like a unique new experience at play. Now, like previous versions of Firefight as well, they've added skulls to the picture, and there's this skull stacking element here too, which is pretty cool. So another major departure we made is how skull difficulty modifiers are earned and enabled throughout each match. In past Firefight, skulls got enabled in a fixed order. We wanted to make the skulls a bit more dynamic to adapt to how well a squad is doing in the round. I think this is brilliant, the idea they have here. But the rules for skulls in Firefight: if a team wins a point and nobody dies, one semi-random skull gets enabled for the next hill. The skulls stack over the course of the game. So if you continue to get points without anybody dying, you continue to stack these skulls. Streaks can be dropped, though. If you lose a hill to the Banished, you will disable your most recently enabled skull. So I guess losing the hill is what disables the skull and not losing a single teammate. But if you lose a single teammate, you won't get another skull. You just won't lose your existing skulls, if that makes sense. Is what I'm gathering here. So if you can play the round perfectly, a skull is added. If you don't play perfectly, but you still win the round, the previous skull isn't taken away. And if you lose the round, the previous skull is taken away. We say semi-random because if a skull gets enabled, just like the classic modes, you earn easier skulls before the harder skulls. So there's a pool of skulls where it'll select from. So the first skull you earn will always be either fog or catch. They talk about what all of these mean. A catch, I think, is they throw more nades. I can't remember fog. If you earn a second skull, the pool expands to include famine and thunderstorm. And the result is that fire teams who are able to earn skulls will get a different experience from match to match. The difficulty curve will still gradually increase in the same way as the match goes on. We made this change because when we looked at how people talked about enjoying Firefight offerings, we noticed two very different types of motivations. And this was what I thought was brilliant about kind of the community feedback and understanding the player here. You've got the type of player that's the challenge hound, and they want to be pushed. They want the most difficult kind of, I guess, sweaty experience you can get within a Firefight environment. And those people like the stacking and the difficulty of the skulls. But then you've got the more relaxed, people who are looking for Firefight as an escape from the sweat of multiplayer. That crowd as well. And while they don't want it to be so easy that it's boring, they really just want something to kick back with their friends and shoot the breeze while they shoot some aliens. So unavoidable skulls, especially ones like Black Eye and Blind, cut against this player type, right? If you're playing and you're just trying to have fun, and then all of a sudden you lose like your HUD, and you can't even like see your gun or something, like that's a pretty detrimental skull. It's going to make you have to sweat, right? So what they do is, if you're playing really well, your skulls are going to get more and more challenging, and you're going to get that difficulty spike that you want. But if you're dying throughout a round, then you're not going to experience, Blind or some of these crazy skulls. So just a really good idea. In this way, the game tries to match whatever energy your lobby is bringing. I think that's brilliant. Party shooter, that's the phrase I was thinking of earlier, is since we saw PvE as a way to build on that party shooter vibe, right? That brings people together, makes Halo feel so unique. We wanted to make a change that supports this group without sacrificing challenge for the players who want the challenge. Really good idea. And then they have all the custom game browsers and the node scripting. And if you're looking at the Forge backend of this, just the insane amount of depth that you can apply to this and all the stuff that you can do, which I'm not going to go too in depth. Here's the skulls and what they do. These are the ones that are available in the mode. You have Fog, Catch, Famine, Thunderstorm, Mythic. Fog disables motion tracker. That's it. Famine, half ammo weapons. Enemies upgrade to the higher rank of their whatever rank they are at Thunderstorm. And then Mythic, they have significantly increased health. Black Eye, your shields. I hate this one. You have to melee for your shields to recharge. That's a tough one. And then they have additionally a very small chance that you might get one of these. These are kind of cool. Boom, doubles explosion radius. And this happens at the start of the game, at the start of a round. Sorry, there's a random chance that you're going to get double explosion radius. Acceleration from explosions is increased. Does that mean like knockback? Maybe. Grunt Birthday Party, classic. Bandana, unlimited ammo and grenades, removes equipment cooldown. That's wild. Imagine like unlimited grapple, unlimited ammo. That'd be pretty cool for a round. A rare combat dialogue becomes more common and vice versa, right? So just random grunt dialogue that you don't normally hear is going to, you're going to hear a lot of it. Blind Skull is not, so it hides first-person HUD. This is not in the matchmaking version. So if you want to use the Blind Skull, you can add it to custom games. They've got all those details here. Here's the TLDR. You have one life, but your teammates can revive you like attrition. If all Spartans are down at the same time, that will end the round instantly. So not the game, right? So I guess we're learning as we're going here. So that will end the round. You lose the round, not the game. 9 maps, right? This is pretty interesting, just seeing the 9-map list. I don't remember what House of Reckoning is. I'm sure somebody in the comments will know. Behemoth, of course, that like midway through BTB 4v4 map. Deadlock BTB map, launch site, another one of those like really large 4v4 maps. And then Live Fire as an option. You just got your vanilla, like Live Fire, my favorite map in the game, honestly, competitively. But for Firefight, going to be very interesting, just curb sliding around, shooting AI versus playing like Behemoth or Deadlock, right? Or Oasis. And then you got 3 Forge maps. So pretty cool, right? Exiled, the Halo 4 remake. You got Cassini Bay, which is Last Resort or Zanzibar. And then Valhalla remake, Valheim, I guess, by our Forge creators here. If you're interested in the many custom game options here, like anything you'd ever want to create in regards to Firefight, and I'm sure you can apply this to other maps in the custom game mode or in custom browser. You've got so much flexibility here. I'm not going to read through all this. They've got some screenshots of like how you can make changes, per each wave or with the skulls and etc. There's like anything you'd ever want in regards to custom game mode, offerings they've got here for you. So really cool and really exciting. And I love the fact that they're kind of bridging that need that we have for a more casual, relaxed type of game mode while still offering a challenge for people that want the challenge. It just feels like, once again, Halo Infinite is very complete with this, right? Like every kind of Halo player is really getting what they want with this game now. So it's exciting, man. I think the core audience, and you can tell, I think we feel it as fans, like there is a positivity around this game from the core fan base that there hasn't been since launch, which feels really damn good. As far as like full industry-wide recognition, We still got some work and maybe things like a battle royale to get there, but it's good to have the core community happy. That matters. But that's Firefight. I'm honestly more of a sweaty PvP type player, but I think it's really cool that we have this in the game. And it looks exciting too. So let me know what you think of the mode so far, if you're excited to play it, and what else you're looking forward to. Stay tuned. By the way, we've got more to talk about in regards to this update that I think, especially if you're a ranked player, if you care about network improvements, stuff like that, stay tuned. I'll be talking about that hopefully in the next few hours. I got to pump these videos out. But in the meantime, enjoy this other related content right beside me. This is the way.